Cimarron City, that's what we call her. Planted right in the middle of Oklahoma Territory. And planned to grow into a place where a man and his family could anchor their lives once and for all. Cimarron City and I have a lot in common. But one thing in particular. We had the same father. It was my dad who first dreamed of such a town. He picked the site, built the first house, and settled down to keep a watchful eye on her as she grew. Ever since he died, I've been trying to fill his shoes. I'm the mayor, Matt Rockford. And this is Beth Purcell. She's a widow and runs the boarding house around the corner. Lane Temple, our jack-of-all-trades and deputy sheriff, is one of her best customers and most loyal admirers.
I just promised Joe Thompson I'd have his horse shod before the medical was over. When did you start the boarding house delivery service?
Since tonight, when the man with the biggest appetite in town didn't show up for dinner. But don't think I'm going to make a habit out of this. I've got other things to do besides mother you.
Mother me? Sarah, you're much too young for the job.
I'm glad you noticed. Oh.
Beth! Beth! Dodie, go get Doc Hodges.
Deck of playing cards. Just an ordinary deck, kind you find in any honest card game and any honest saloon. 52 cards. Count them. Hold the deck. That's long enough, son. Thank you. I'm going to have that same young man who was kind enough to count the cards for me choose one of this deck of 52 cards. Don't be afraid, son. Come on, step right up. Take one. That's the boy. Now I want you to tell me, what is the card you've selected?
7 of clubs.
That's right, absolutely right. Now I have for you a priceless gift of 1 bottle of Professor Wizard's famous elixir. This remedy is world famous for the cure of stomachache, backache, heartburn, and...
Mr. Rockford, have you seen Doc Hodges?
He's out riding his circuit. Left yesterday. Well, what's up, Dodie?
It's Miss Beth. A horse kicked her, Mr. Rockford, and she just lying there like she was dead.
Where?
Down at the livery stable.
You heard what they said, didn't you?
Well, maybe it's not as serious as the young man said.
Who's going to be able to tell that, beside me?
I know.
We haven't had to do it for a long time, Emily. I'm pretty sure we're safe by now.
Wouldn't make any real difference, even if we weren't safe, would it? I'll get it.
What do you think, Matt?
I wish I knew, Lane. I'm afraid we won't know until Beth comes to and tells us just how bad it is.
If she comes to.
She probably just got the wind knocked out of her.
What about Doc Hodges? I can ride out and get him.
It'll be all right if you can find him. He's got better than a day's start. No idea where he planned to stop first.
At least I can try. Anything's better than just waiting here.
Yeah. Just a minute, mister. Selling harmless medicine from your wagon is one thing, but this is work for a real doctor.
I am a doctor.
I mean a real doctor. I'd like to believe this.
You better try real hard, mister, because this woman needs surgery at once.
Surgery? Surgeon traveling around in a medicine wagon?
My mode of transportation has nothing to do with my skill.
Please believe him. You must if you want her to live.
Is she a friend of yours?
A very good friend of everybody's.
You wouldn't like it if anything happened to her.
That's right, we wouldn't.
Then I have everything to lose. If I'm lying, don't I? Nothing to gain, because there'll be no charge for this operation.
All right, Doctor. Go ahead.
Well, we can't do it here. Where can we move her?
Her place, the boarding house down the street.
All right, get a horse blanket. A thick one. We can carry her on that. Somebody run ahead and heat some water.
Tony, get the water.
All right, give me the needle and thread, please. Hold that light higher.
Lane. Lane.
We're all mighty grateful to you, Dr. Newton.
Rest's all she needs now. We'll look in on her in the morning before we leave.
Leaving? So soon?
Say, there are a lot of worried people standing out there. Don't you think we'd better get out there and set them at ease?
Yeah, you might be right at that. Folks, Beth is going to be all right. Oh, as good as new.
Hold it down. Now, look, she's not ready for a party yet.
We're all mighty grateful to Dr. Newton and his fine wife here. And I want to apologize to both of them, publicly, for ever having doubted them. They say they're leaving town tomorrow. Well, I haven't said anything to them yet, but I'm going to right now. I'd like to ask them to stay here in Cimarron City. Make this their home.
Now, hold it. Nothing you could have done would have made Mrs. Newton and me any happier. We appreciate your kind offer, and we certainly will consider it.
Well, there's no better time than right now to consider, Doctor.
But you already have a doctor here, don't you?
Dr. Hodges. But he's out riding the circuit most of the time. Indian reservation, outlying ranches. We don't see much of him. Cimarron City could use 2 doctors. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, Dr. Hodges was saying that he'd sure like another man in here helping him. We've got a good town here, full of nice, friendly people. What do you say?
Well, I would like to talk it over with my wife.
Sure. Take your time.
We'll be at the wagon. Why don't you drop by later, and we'll give you an answer.
All right, I will. Dr. Newton, I want to thank you again, sir.
That's all right. You know something? I don't even know your name.
Matt Rockford.
Happy to know you, Matt Rockford.
Believe me, Doctor, the pleasure is all mine. Mr. Newton?
Thank you.
Turned out to be a doctor after all, huh?
Yeah, he sure did.
Traveling around in a medicine wagon. Did he ever say why?
No, as a matter of fact, he didn't.
Seems mighty strange. Why would a doctor pretend to be one of those medicine men unless maybe he was trying to keep somebody from knowing that he was a real doctor?
He let us know, didn't he?
Yeah, I guess he did at that.
You know something, Art? You've been wearing that badge so long, you're getting suspicious of everybody.
Oh, well, I guess he must have a good reason.
Yeah, I'm sure he has. And I expect if he ever wants to tell us that reason, he'll do it.
Marshal.
What are you doing here, Marshal?
Hey, maybe he's looking for us.
Have a take a teaspoon twice a day. You the doctor?
Yes, Marshal.
The only doctor here?
In Amarillo, I am.
Well, I'm looking for is younger. Did you ever hear the Great O'Brien Medicine Show?
Well, yes, I think I do remember that one. Went through here, some 5-6 months back. Which one are you after, Marshal? Medicine man or doctor?
If I find one, I'll have the other.
Hope you get your man.
I always do.
Josh, I'm sorry, but I just can't shake the feeling that we're not as safe as you think we are.
Emily, as a practical man of medical science, I can tell you that a woman's intuition, although sometimes remarkably uncanny, is not always entirely reliable.
I've never stopped worrying ever since you set that little boy's arm. If they ever find out that the great O'Brien was really a doctor, they'll put 2 and 2 together and they'll know it was you.
And Emily, that was way back in Texas. Besides, we buried the great O'Brien underneath a coat of paint. I'm Professor Wizard now. No relation to the great O'Brien. Ask anybody in this town, they never heard of him.
Oh, Josh, please be serious.
All right, Emily. All right, I'll be serious. How long has it been? How long have we been running and hiding and pretending we're something we're not? How long has it been since I practiced medicine?
Too long. I know what it means to you.
Tonight, when Matt Rockford asked us to stay in Cimarron City, I realized for the first time that we're going to have to stop somewhere. We can't keep on the move forever. I'm a doctor and I need to work at it. Isn't that why we left Arizona in the first place?
Of course.
When those people opened up their hearts to us tonight, said, "Stop here, Dr. Newton. Stay here. Live with us. Be our doctor. We need you." Emily, I can't tell you what a thrill went through me. And I said to myself, why not? Haven't we run far enough? Haven't we left those federal men far enough behind? If they had any idea of where we were, they could easily have stopped us by telegraph, but they haven't, and they're not going to, Emily. This is Oklahoma territory. It's alive with fugitives that are hiding. They'll never notice the presence of one more.
I do want to stay. I do want a home, desperately. But more than that, I want you to be a doctor again.
We're going to do it, Emily. We're going to bury the great O'Brien and Professor Wizard right here and now. We're going to show Cimarron City some of the best darn doctoring they've ever seen.
I love you, Dr. Newton.
Well, Cimarron City had a new doctor. I don't know who was happier about it, the people who already lived here, or Doc and Emily Newton. We knew Doc Hodges would welcome an associate, and that he'd be very happy to share his office with him. And before the next day was over, it looked like an epidemic hit town. I never realized there were so many people ailing in Cimarron City. And in fact, there weren't. It was just their way of showing the Doc that he was welcome. Doc liked the people, and they liked him, even the young ones. And when the people of Cimarron City open their hearts to a newcomer, they go all the way. They figured the new doctor and his wife needed a house, and you'd be surprised how fast one grew, just beyond the edge of town.
Well, how you doing, Doc?
Fine, Matt. How about another drink?
No, I'd better be getting on to work.
Come on, you've already done enough for the Newton family.
Just what did you mean by that?
Don't pretend with me. I found out about this plot of land that the city gave me for my house. It belonged to one Matt Rockford until a couple of days ago when he signed it over to the city for this specific purpose.
Who told you that?
Wouldn't you like to know? Come on, another one won't hurt you.
Well, you're trying to get rid of this stuff. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that keg isn't full of that worthless medicine you were trying to sell off the back of that wagon.
What do you mean, worthless? Guaranteed to cure a stomachache, headache, bad lungs.
Seriously, Doc, just what was in it? Sugar water?
Sure, and a mild laxative. And don't forget you go down to defeat tonight at the cribbage board.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he a great guy, Emily?
Oh, yes. It's wonderful to have good friends again, isn't it? You're supposed to be drawing that stuff, not drinking it.
Hey, what's all this about friends?
I'm not your friend. I'm your wife.
Hello, Doc. Which one are you? Hodges or Newton?
I'm Dr. Newton. I don't believe I've seen you in town before.
Well, that's right.
Well, what can I do for you?
Well, I got a pain in my side. I want you to look at it. Well, right away, if these other people don't mind.
Well, I guess it'll be all right. Come on in. Now, if you'll just take off your vest and lie down over there. Emily, will you fill out a record card in the marshal, please? Excuse me.
Your name, please?
Wesley. Elton Wesley.
Your occupation?
United States Deputy Marshal.
Will you be staying in town? I mean, well, office calls are cash, except for residence.
Well, now, that all depends on what the doc finds is wrong with me.
Transient.
You said that you had a pain in your side, I believe. Which side is it?
This one.
Now, just sing out when I hit the spot.
Right there.
Is the pain recurring or sustaining?
Well, now, if you mean does it hurt all the time? Yeah.
Well, how long have you been in the saddle?
A long time.
Well, I don't think it's anything serious. Probably a slight strain. I'd suggest some rest. Try to stay off that horse as much as possible if your work will permit it.
I think it'll permit it.
You can take a teaspoon of this after meals.
Thanks, Doc. Is there a hotel in town?
Well, I'd suggest Beth Purcell's boarding house. It's right down to the bottom of the street. If the pain persists, come back and see me.
I will. What was it? Newton?
That's right. Oh, and Mr. Wesley, the charge is $2.
Oh, Josh.
Now, Emily, don't be upset. We don't know for sure.
That man didn't have a pain, and you know it. That's why you gave him that sugar water.
Those things are hard to tell about sometimes.
Let's not fool ourselves, Josh. We have to leave. We've got to get away.
That'd be the worst thing we could do. Running now would be just an admission of our guilt. Besides, if this man is really after us, we wouldn't stand a chance of getting away now anyway.
Well, look, get some help then. Tell Matt. Tell him everything.
Emily, I can't ask Matt to go against a federal marshal just because of us.
I was afraid it was too good to last.
I guess it would take a pretty important mission to get a United States Marshal clear out here in the middle of the territory, huh, Mr. Wesley?
I suppose.
Can you tell us who you're trailing?
Nobody in this town. I'm just staying over here because the doc advised it for a while.
You're wise to take Dr. Newton's advice, Mr. Wesley. He's the best I know. Oh, you're out of coffee.
You sit still. It's too soon for you to be up and around anyway.
It's been months, Lane. I can't be an invalid all my life.
Here you are. Have you met Art Sampson yet?
Who's he?
He's our sheriff. Real fine fella.
Sheriff. You have sheriffs for counties. You don't have counties until you're a state.
Yeah, you're right. But out here in this territory, we kind of have to make our own laws. I guess a sheriff can look after things just as well as if we called him a marshal.
Well, I suppose. Well, maybe I'll get around to looking him up tomorrow sometime.
For a man who's sick, there's certainly nothing wrong with his appetite.
$9.15. Doc, I don't know what's wrong with you. 3 games in a row.
I must be a little off my game tonight.
You act like you've got something else on your mind. What's worrying you?
I'm just tired, I guess.
Josh, there's a man on a horse at the side of the house.
What were you doing back there?
Is this where Doc Newton lives?
Hello, Mr. Wesley.
Hi, Doc. I was just riding by and thought I'd stop in and tell you that pain's just as bad as it ever was.
Sorry to hear that. I tell you what, why don't you try doubling the dose of that medicine I gave you? And stay out of the saddle as much as you can. Oh, Matt, this is Mr. Eldon Wesley. This is Matt Rockford, our mayor.
Mr. Wesley, I heard there was a marshal around town. Anything we can do to help you, just let us know.
I will. Oh, say, Doc, I wanted to ask you if you ever heard of another doctor that's supposed to be in this area somewhere. Name of Frederick Powers.
No, I don't believe I have.
Well, I figured you living around here a long time and being a doctor, you might have met him somewhere or heard of him anyway.
I've lived around here ever since this town's been built. Never heard of him.
Well, say, Doc, any charge for a house call? When it's your house?
No charge.
Sort of a strange bird, isn't he?
Yes.
Well, let's get back to that cake, Doc.
Oh, Matt, I wonder if you wouldn't think I was too rude if we postponed the cake until some other time. I really am dead.
Well, now, I don't know about that. I think this is just a scheme to make sure that you get to eat that cake all by yourself.
I give you my word, I'll save the biggest piece for you.
Well, you have been working pretty hard, Doc. I'm going to let you get away with it this time. Say goodnight to Emily for me, will you?
Sure.
See you tomorrow. Doc, are you sure there's nothing wrong?
As a matter of fact, there is, Matt. I just can't believe how you beat me 3 straight games.
Good night, Josh.
Good night. Go ahead and say it. You have the right. I told you so. You warned me, I just wouldn't believe you. I felt so sure we were safe and cozy here. So sure we buried Dr. Frederick Powers far behind us. I'll tell you something, Emily. I didn't believe it any more than you did. But I wanted it so badly, I just had to take the chance. So I kidded you and I kidded myself. So go on, say it. Say anything you like. It's a small privilege for having had your life ruined.
Oh, Fred. Fred, I understand.
No, Emily, please don't give me sympathy. It's how it all started. I felt so sorry for Dr. Frederick Powers, whose brilliant career was being threatened with a charge of malpractice. So sorry that the surgical skill of these hands was being denied a poor, suffering world. And so desperately sorry for the man who wanted to be a doctor so badly he wouldn't stop long enough in one place to do it. A good doctor. Why should I, Emily? It was trying to be a good doctor in Tucson that started all this. It was trying to be a good doctor in Texas that started everybody looking for the great O'Brien. It was trying to be a good doctor in Cimarron City that finally trapped us. Emily, why do I think my profession is worth all this? Why do I have to be a doctor and nothing else?
Because that's what you are. Nothing can change what you are.
thank God nothing ever changed what you were.
Thank you, Fred.
It's good to hear you call me that again.
It's a good name. It's you. Oh, I get so tired of calling you Josh. It's like telling a lie every time I say it. My husband's name is Frederick Powers. Dr. Frederick Powers. That's what the marshal's trying to scare us into saying. He's not sure you're the man he's after. He has no proof. Nothing but a suspicion. He's just trying to make us do or say something that will confirm it or disprove it.
Yeah. Otherwise, he would have arrested me by now.
Even if the marshal should find out from somebody that we came here in a medicine wagon, and he's bound to sooner or later, the only thing they could tell him is that you were Professor Wizard. It might make him more suspicious, but it wouldn't prove a thing.
That's right. The only way he could prove it is if he found the medicine wagon with the name painted over. You know, Emily, I've thought about setting fire to that wagon. But I thought it would make people wonder, a wagon burning by itself, and ask questions. Emily, if the shed itself caught fire.
It's attached to the house.
Emily, who would possibly think that the Newtons could be so ungrateful that they'd destroy the house that was built by the hands and hearts of their friends?
Oh, it's a terrible thing even to think about.
Emily, a house is easy to rebuild. What would there be left of our lives to rebuild if they arrested me and took me back?
Well, Mr. Wesley, that was a short ride.
Oh, just a little exercise for the horse. He's used to going all day long, and I don't want him to get lazy.
Hey, Dodie, look after him, will you?
Hey, Mr. Temple, what's this? That's 24 times today, and I ain't missed once. Did you catch any outlaws today, Mr. Marshal?
Sure, I got Jesse James tied up outside right now.
Jesse James has been dead for years.
You must be pretty busy working this late at night.
Well, you gotta make some money. Don't figure on being a nursemaid to a horse all my life. Might even go to law school someday.
Well, that's a good ambition.
Still feeling poorly?
Yeah. I guess that doc ain't quite as good as people think.
I don't know about that.
You know, it's a funny thing about a doctor. For some people, they're just fine. But for somebody else, well, you might as well go get yourself treated by the pitchman on a medicine wagon.
Well, maybe you just gotta give the doc a little more time to help you.
Oh, I will. All the time it takes. Good night.
See you.
Sometimes people treat me just like they don't think I have very much sense. Well, maybe I haven't. But that's all right with me. Because it lets you find out real quick just what kind of folks they are.
What are you getting at, Dodie?
Well, that United States Marshal. He ain't honest. You can't be honest and be two different people the way he was.
You don't miss much, do you?
No, sir. If I wanted to find out anything about Doc Newton, I'd come right out and ask you. I wouldn't beat around the bush the way he did.
Yeah, I had that feeling, too. He mentioned the medicine wagon. That wasn't just by accident.
Mr. Temple! Mr. Temple! Fire!
I hope our friends will forgive us. I really loved our home.
House, dear. We're losing our house so we can keep our home.
That was some far, wasn't it, Mr. Rockford?
Sure was, Dodie. Get Doc and his wife set up at Beth?
Yeah. Blame that Marshal Wesley. When did he bring his horse back in?
What do you ask?
Well, there's something about that guy I just don't trust. He might have had something to do with starting that fire. He was out there snooping around earlier this evening.
It's funny you pegging him, too.
What do you mean?
Well, just shortly after he brought his horse back, the fire started.
I told you he wasn't honest.
I was going to tell you about it anyway. But before he left, he mentioned Doc's name. Mentioned a medicine wagon.
Did he ask you about it?
No, he didn't ask me about it, but he sure left the gate wide open. Like he wanted me to say something. But I didn't fall for it, because, well, you know how we've wondered about Doc coming here the way he did?
Yeah. Maybe Wesley had something to do with Doc's past.
And maybe he isn't a deputy at all.
Could be.
I'll keep my eyes open. If I see anything, I'll send Doty after you.
All right, fine. I'll be around the first thing in the morning. Morning, Art.
Morning, Matt.
I've been looking for that Marshal, Wesley. Seen him around?
Yeah, but just talking to him. Figured he's in town on business, so I introduced myself and told him I'd be glad to work with him. Said if he wanted my help, he'd look me up. Walked over there to the doctor's office.
I don't quite understand, Mr. Wesley. What do you mean, was that fire an accident?
Some fires are accidental, and some of them are on purpose. For instance, I find in my work that fires are used to destroy evidence sometimes.
Now, what's that got to do with my place?
There was a shed built on the side of your house, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that could hold a lot of evidence. Might even be big enough to hold a wagon. Say, a medicine wagon?
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Wesley, but I don't like your attitude. Now, if you haven't got official business here, I'll have to ask you to leave. Come in.
Mr. Wesley, I'd like to talk to you.
Later.
Hello, Emily.
Sorry about the house, Matt. You know how much it meant to us.
Sure I do, Doc. Is there anything I could do to help you?
I don't know what more you could do. You got us moved into Beth's. We'll be fine there until we can rebuild.
Are you sure there's nothing you want to tell me, Doc?
About what?
About Marshal Wesley, a medicine wagon, maybe even about that fire last night.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you do.
Now, wait, Matt.
Now, look, Doc. If you're in some kind of trouble, surely you can tell me.
What kind of trouble could I be in?
I don't know. But I'd guess it had something to do with the way you were traveling in disguise when you first came into town.
You're just safe that way, that's all. Outlaw bands are less likely to bother a rig like that.
Did you know Wesley was curious about it, too? Lane thinks that he was trying to pump him.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Ridiculous? It's not ridiculous when the house burns down the same night. And with it, the wagon that you kept in that shed.
The next thing you'll be doing is trying to accuse me of setting fire to the house just to burn the wagon.
Did you?
I don't like this, Matt. I don't like being questioned like I'm on trial. Now, I told you there was nothing wrong. Are you calling me a liar?
No, Doc, I won't call you a liar. If you tell me these things have no connection, then... well, that's what I'm going to believe.
That's what I'm telling you, Matt.
All right, Doctor. Sorry if I upset you. See you later. Good day, Emily.
There goes my best friend, Emily. Do I deserve to have such a friend?
Well, it isn't something you can tell anyone. Even Matt. What you did for our protection.
Everything I've done for months has been for our protection. Funny thing is, I haven't protected us at all.
What do you mean?
Look what's happened to us, Emily, to both of us, you and me. The minute Matt walked out that door, I suddenly realized just how far we've fallen. How we're not anything like what we used to be. I stood right here in this room and lied to a man who's not only the best friend we have in the world, but a man who gave us the land for other friends to build a house on. A house we burned just as easily as I lied to Matt. And it was easy because it was for our protection. And that made it all right.
I remember when it started being all right. With the first lie. And we changed our name from Powers to Newton.
Who are we, Emily? Powers, Newton, Professor Wizard, the great O'Brien? What are we? How far are we going to sink? A year from now, what'll be as easy as lying was today? Murder, or even worse?
Where are you going?
I'm going to find Matt, maybe myself. I was the garrison surgeon at Tucson. The garrison was commanded by a sadistic colonel named, aptly enough, Crass. He used to send his men out in useless raiding parties against the Apaches, hopelessly outnumbered. I had all I could do to keep enough men bandaged up to man the guard posts. It made me so sick to the point that I finally appealed to the colonel on grounds of humanity. I guess I spoke my mind because he hit me in front of witnesses. And sometime later, he got a poison arrow in his left arm. The gangrene would have killed him, so I amputated him. Of course, he accused me of taking his arm off out of vengeance. And he swore that before Washington had retired him, that he'd destroy my career like I destroyed his. Well, he had enough witnesses that would certainly have testified to my hostility. He ordered a court-martial. And as there was no other doctor around to corroborate my diagnosis, I knew I'd be convicted in about 10 minutes. It would have meant a long jail term and the loss of my right to practice medicine. So I deserted. That medical certificate I showed you is a forgery.
The other thing that's hard to believe is why the United States Marshal's office would trail a man all the way from Tucson across New Mexico, Texas, into the Oklahoma Territory. They just don't have that many deputies to waste. Especially on a man who at least isn't a dangerous killer. In the Territory, they don't even bother the big ones. They've got plenty of them.
Well, it doesn't matter now anyway, because I've decided to stop running. So has Emily. We know what it would always be like, and we've seen what it's already done to us. So I'm going to go back and take my chances in court. At least by now, Colonel Crass is probably out of the Army, so maybe I can get a fair trial. The only thing, Matt, is I don't like the idea of turning myself into a man like Wesley.
I don't blame you. Be a pretty rough trip. I think he likes his job. Let me handle it, Doc. I'll go talk to Art Sampson. Maybe we can figure a way around Wesley. At least we can try.
Thanks, Matt.
Art, I'd like to have you send an official telegram for me.
Sure, Matt.
Colonel, it's me, Wesley.
Oh, it's about time. You know how long you kept me waiting?
I wasn't going to ride all the way out here and then back again without being sure.
Well, are you sure?
Sure as I can be without a picture of him.
Well, you better be this time, or I'll see that the United States Marshal discharges one incompetent deputy.
Sure. Anything you say, Colonel.
Yeah, it's that telegram, Matt. Just came in. Matt, Doc, look.
There's the answer to your question, Matt. I may not be a dangerous criminal in the Marshal's files, but to that one-armed gent, I'm twice as important.
Colonel Crass?
My friend and benefactor took a personal interest in seeing that I was trailed.
I'd like to handle this, Art.
Sure, Matt. I'll be right here.
Don't do anything foolish on my account, Matt.
That'll be about as far as you go.
See anybody you recognize?
Yes.
I know what you're after, Wesley. Too bad you and the colonel had to go through all that trouble for nothing.
I identified your man, Wesley. Arrest him.
Wesley, nobody in this town ever saw your credentials. And I think it's about time we did.
Well, this badge ain't made out of tin.
How do I know?
Look, Rockford, you may be a big man in Cimarron City, but you try getting bigger than the federal government and you're in real trouble.
Unless you could show us something to back up that badge. Art Sampson is the only recognized law we have here.
Talking about tin badges. Colonel, he tried to cut himself in on the reward money by wanting to work with me on the case.
All right, Wesley. Show them what they want to see and let's get it over with.
Sure.
United States Deputy Marshal Elton Wesley. That's you?
You can read, can't you?
Yeah, I can read. I'd like to read something to you. It's from the United States Marshal's office in Washington. Addressed to Art Sampson, Sheriff, Cimarron City. United States Deputy Marshal Elton Wesley, dead. Suspect brother Frank Wesley using Elton's credentials. Frank is a known bounty hunter. It's just like I said, Wesley. The only recognized law around here is Art Sampson.
Make it easy on yourself, Wesley. Placing you under arrest for impersonating a United States Deputy Marshal.
Not me, you're not.
There always was something distasteful about him.
We noticed that, too. A real officer could have found out what he wanted to know about Doc by just asking. Wesley had to sneak around about it.
Matt, I thought I told you not to do anything foolish on my account.
I didn't do it on your account, Doctor. I was itching to do it on my own.
I agreed to pay Wesley $1,000 to bring you in, Doctor. My own personal money. That's what I think of you.
Sorry, Colonel, nobody's going to be taking the doctor in. Unless it's a duly appointed officer of the law.
I agree with you. Therefore, I hereby formally charge him with desertion from the United States Army. And I demand that this sheriff, a duly appointed officer from your own statement, arrest him and hold him for the federal authorities.
What?
And furthermore, if you do this, the reward that I posted is yours. $1,000, Sheriff, for doing your duty.
You can keep your dirty money.
Matt, look out!
Is it bad?
Will you see that everybody's out of the waiting room?
There's nobody there.
Well, please check it.
Why?
Please, Emily, just do it.
Oh, I probably shouldn't even think such a thing about Doc. But I wonder if it's wise leaving just him and his wife in there alone with the colonel. Them hating him like they do.
He's a doctor, Art. And right now, the colonel is just another patient.
It'd be awful easy to let that patient die. It might even help him a little.
I don't know what you and I could do about it, even if we were in there watching. I wouldn't know what he was doing, would you?
No, guess not.
I guess we're just going to have to trust him.
That's right. Wake up. Can you hear me, Colonel Crass? Just lie still and listen to me. I'm going to tell you something, and you better hear it. We're alone, Colonel. There's nobody in this room but you and me. Doctor and patient. You've got a bullet lying right next to your heart. Now, if it's removed carefully, you can live. But I'm the only man here who can do that. I can save your life, Colonel. If I want to. But can you tell me one good reason why I should?
One good reason why I shouldn't let this instrument slip right by the bullet and into your heart? And you, of all people, should know I'm capable of it, because you're the one who charged me with malpractice. And you must have believed it, or you wouldn't have accused me of it. There's nobody here to accuse me now, Colonel. If I tell those people outside that you were simply beyond help, they'll have to believe me.
Oh, no. Please. Please.
Go ahead. Plead for your life. You, of all people, should know there's no other man on earth who deserves to die more than you. And there's no man on earth who has a better reason for wanting you dead than me. Maybe I should have let that gangrene kill you, Colonel. It would have, you know. I amputated that arm to save your life, Colonel. For the same reason I'm not going to let you die now. It's a very simple reason, Colonel. Because I'm a doctor.
Now you can go on living, Colonel. But as long as you live, just remember that the man who saved your life twice did it knowing the world would be a better place without you. Remember it on the witness stand, too, Colonel. Because I'm going back and face your charge.
Go inside and take care of the patient, will you? Nurse?
Yes, right away. Doctor.
How'd it work?
Like a charm.
You convince him you're a doctor, not a butcher?
He learned a lesson he's not likely to forget even on the witness stand. I'm getting to be a pretty accomplished liar, you know. Any amateur could have yanked that bullet out. He was never in any danger from it.
Really scared him, huh?
Your patient sends you a message.
Oh?
He says, tell the doctor thanks for everything. Oh, Josh.
Hey, who's Josh?
Oh, why, he's a man that we just buried in the same grave with two shady medicine men.
If the only people who were allowed to come into the Oklahoma Territory were those with spotless pasts, I guess there wouldn't be nearly as many here now as there are. Mostly we have to accept them at face value and not worry too much about where they're from or why they came. As far as Doc Newton was concerned, his past kind of caught up with him. We didn't know whether Doc and Emily would ever come back or not. But we did know one thing. Cimarron City grew a little more. It was a better place to live because they'd been here.